Hello YouTubers, I'm back. This is week 2. I'm going to have a 2-part special because we're going to be going over a lot of things. Again, my name is Clarence Pinson. However, to make it easy for people to remember my name, I just say CP. It just makes it easier. We're going to do things as easy as possible, even with a name. So you say, who's that guy's name again? I don't remember what his name was. I don't know. CP, yeah, okay, I can remember that. Okay, second thing. Our topic today is how do I make $1 million in savings off of my present job? We're going to get to that a little bit. We want to touch up on some of the things that we talked about last week, and then we'll move into it, so bear with me. First thing we talked about was my part with this investment firm called InStar Alliance. I gave a number to that for those people living in the DC area. And also in Texas. However, due to the coronavirus, we've kind of made all our efforts here in Virginia. It's a little bit easier and a little bit safer for now. We will expand some things. I do have some investments and some other things going on down there. However, for the most part, everything is going to be in Virginia. If you're in Virginia, great. Then you're in great shape because these programs, we can contact you, we can talk with you virtually, and we can get you going with it. And what programs am I talking about? These are the things I'm talking about where you can make $1 million with in your present savings. First of all, let's go back over what we discussed last week very quickly. And the first thing that we discussed was some basic things, basic types of income. And I remember I had a list. I'll show you the list again. There it is. I know it's hard to read, but you know, my writing's better than Robert Kiyosaki, that's for sure. Matter of fact, last week I looked like him. This is what happens, you know, when you have a virus. You know, I couldn't go to the barber. I looked terrible. I know you saw my first video. Yikes! But you see, I look better than this week. It's amazing what you can do when you reach phase 3. You know. Anyway, the first one was earned incomes. That's what we're going to talk about more today. Profit income from eBay, interest income from banks, residual income from YouTube, digital downloads and affiliate marketing, marketing brands, etc. Also, too, I have a few more here, and I'm going to have a link for one of the YouTubers that I like. Her name is Vanessa Lau, and she goes into these different types of incomes a little bit better than I do. I'm always going to have links to people who I feel that are better than I am in regards to these types of items, and they can go in a little bit more detail. One of the things that I had was with Anthony Davis, or it's Anthony, and he's a genius. I mean, he's brilliant with talking about economics, talking about the state of the economy, talking about the debt that the federal government have. All that stuff's really important. So it helps you to make decisions in regards to what you're going to do in regards to investing, trading, saving, all that. Some of the other items was called Teespring, Merchant by Amazon, Redbubble, Udemy. Those are some of the things you can do, residual income, and a lot of it branches out from your YouTube channel. Dividend income is stocks, and I discussed a little bit about that if you remember from last week. We had basically a little list of the different things that you need to look for when you trade. If you do not have time to sit and watch a trade, I would not recommend doing trade. I know I said last week, oh, the number one with Warren Buffett is with trading. I'm completely correct. It is. But if you're working a full-time job and you can't watch it, leaving it long and hoping that it does well in this volatility, not good. But when you understand and you see the volatility, then you say, oh, okay, now it's time for me to trade. You can set up a trading account. It's always going to be the highest form of investing. Number 2 would, of course, be real estate. Speaking a little bit of that, pardon me, I have a little bit of a background with that. I started off actually in the travel industry, which has got nothing to do with real estate, but it's kind of cool. And, you know, when you see my email, crosslander1@gmail.com, it talks about that particular time frame. The next thing I got into real estate, I worked for that for about 4 years or so. I have been working with people on my own since 1994, before I got married. And I wasn't doing it as a business. I just wanted to inform people, hey, there's other options out there. So I've been doing it a long time. I got with the investment business that I'm with now in 2016. Got, officially with that. prior to that, I worked in the health industry and helped with handicap, that sort of thing. Did a lot of things down in Texas and stayed down there for a while. Came back up here and bounced between the two. But the thing is, I'm mostly here in the DC area. So that's why it's advantageous to get in touch with me if you happen to be there. And we can get you on these programs. The last stuff was, as I mentioned, rental income, capital gains from different types of investments like house flipping, royalty income, one-on-one consulting. Vanessa Lau talks excellent about one-on-one consulting, and she also talks about digital downloads where you can go ahead and put in a book and make a lot of money, and she does a lot with that. And I'll put a link to her on there so you can learn a bit more about it. But there's a lot of things on the internet, is what I'm trying to prove to you here. The last thing, if you remember from last week, was federal payouts, and that's what you needed to read and watch the video from Anthony Davis. And he talks about unfunded obligations. He talks, which is for the retirement and medical benefits. And basically what he was saying there is that we are not at $20 trillion. Try closer to the neighborhood of 20 plus $160 trillion, because we don't bring in enough income to pay all those things. They're unfunded obligations. What that means is that they talk about having money for the retirees, but technically if all the retirees all retired at once, there's not enough money there for them, and we'll never collect enough taxes. And that's another conversation we can have about this overall economy that we had prior to what I call BV and AV, which is before virus and after virus. Even that economy, it cut into a lot of the tax base and made things worse actually than it made good. And we're having another conversation about that on the next video. But how do I make $1 million out of my present job? That's what the question is. What do I have to do that? It's simple. First of all, you got to get out of debt. It's very, very simple. That's what we do at InStar Alliance. And what we do is we work with a couple of different insurance agencies and investment companies and banks, and we have some different programs available. What you do is you put your money into it. First, we figure out all the debts you have. Most people have credit card, they have furniture debt, they have student loans, some of the younger people do. Mortgages, very common, car loans. What we do is we figure out, well, what's the biggest loan? What's the biggest one? That one is going to get paid last. And then we go with the smallest one. We'll say it's the credit card debt. And that's usually normal. And then what you do is you put it into this investment program, this system that we have for you. And then from there, you put money into this, and it earns 4% interest plus dividends. And then from there, you begin to pay that off. And then the money that you are paying on that credit card, you put a little bit more money into it. So you go after the furniture debt. And you keep going until you get all the debts paid. Once you're out of debt, and our program works, and it takes about 9 to 10 years, even on a 30-year mortgage, when all that's cleared, then you have real savings. Financial planners don't talk about this. You won't see any information much about that. Certainly banks won't, because they want you to do the loans. We set it up so that you loan your money to yourself, basically, within that program, and the loan rate is a lot lower than it would have been if you would have gotten a car loan or a mortgage or whatever. So basically, you have to get out of debt before you can actually try to save money. And then you keep feeding this thing, this beast of a program, and you keep feeding it, and all of a sudden you can pull out money out of it, and it's not taxable. And then you pull money out of it, and that is the money that you have. And you can build it up. And then from there, you put it into another investment project called annuities, and then you have yourself a pension. We'll get into that a little later. That's another conversation that we'll have at a different time. And we're getting through all this stuff. But the first thing that you need to do before you ever invest or do anything is you have to know what's going on outside. You have to understand exactly everything there is to know current event wise, so then that way you can make intelligent decisions. Okay? Do you have time to do these different programs? I don't know. But it's good to know there's a lot of things on the internet that you can do, help supplement that income to get your income going. And the most important thing to remember is, with this unfunded obligations, that pouring money into 401ks that has market volatility, we try to get people out of that, so then that way they have no loss when the market turns on them. So you need to look at other options. That's how you're going to do your savings. 401k is a big old chunk of change. If the market doesn't destroy it for you, like the virus has been doing, and you end up pulling some money out, we'll say you pull out $200,000, and they say, okay, congratulations, you're in retirement. Social Security ain't going to cover you because that's under unfunded obligations. So you're going to have to use the 401k to try to cover you. How long can you live on a couple $100 grand? Whereas if you had put money into an annuity, you'd be drawing an income of maybe $40,000 or $50,000 a year for the rest of your life, and you'll burn right through that $200,000. But under that program, you would be able to keep getting paid for life. These are the things that you need to think about. These are the things that you need to focus on. So in order to save money of $1 million, a quick answer is you got to get out of debt. Okay, the wealth begins when the debt ends, and that's what we're going to try to teach you. We're going to try to make you learn over these other episodes, and for weeks and months to come, that you will have to have a different mind sync in your mind, what you need to do in order to get to where you need to be. And it's wonderful that you can do some of these things. I realize some people say, hey, all I can do is work a 40-hour job a week, CP. That's all I ever do. Maybe come home, watch some Netflix, call it a day. Is there hope for me? Yeah, there's hope. But you got to get into these different programs. Are they available in all 50 states? No, they are not. They're available in some states. You can always go ahead and put in the comments below, and I can check and see if it's these different investment programs are available or not. It isn't a broad thing across all 50 states. None of the territories have it, like Puerto Rico. None of them do. But it is available in some states. If I'm living in the right state, wonderful. Then best I can do for you is to try to direct you to some other group that's also working with the things that we work with in InStar Alliance. Again, I'm hoping you're having a good, safe week. And next week, we will also talk more in detail about the overall economy. There's going to be a second part to this as well. And I'm going to dive right in with Antine Davis's reasoning with the reasons that the government has all this debt, and why perhaps you may want to consider not assuming the Social Security and 401k is the best idea in the world. And I'm going to do that in just a little while. But until then, if you give it a chance, check out my first video. And like I said, please ignore how badly I look. But like I said, that's what happens when you don't have a barber and you got to wait until it opens. But stay safe, and we will discuss more shortly. Thank you.